Welcome. This is the first blog in June, and the topic that I want to talk about is something that's really top of mind for me. There's a concept called fall from grace, which may sound biblical, but I actually learned it from a colleague many years ago when he was talking about what had happened to his 10-year-old son and that his son had experienced a fall from grace. That was the first time I'd heard this idea. And it totally caught my attention because it really did explain some very important things as we look at how people develop from childhood into adolescence and so on. So what is a fall from grace? Well, it's a situation and experience where there's three key elements that make it a very powerful experience that really in some ways indelibly often locks into our system. One is that something very serious and often really catastrophic in a way to either the child or in general happens. It's irretrievable. You can't fix it. The second criteria is that the child is some way key in what happened. Either they are completely responsible for what happened or played a major part in it. And the third is that they then cope with the situation by hiding or lying or covering up. So those three elements seem to be the key ingredients, if you like, in a fall from grace. Something very serious, often catastrophic happens. You've played a key part in it and feel responsible. And three, what you've done then to cope and manage compounds the error and you end up lying, hiding, deceiving, whatever. Well, why is this on my mind? It's on my mind because my granddaughter Sophia had a fall from grace. And of course, when I heard about it, my heart went out to her. And what happened is Sophia left the gate open. And that's not that big a deal, except that Huckleberry, their dog, got out of the yard. Well, when everybody was looking for Huckleberry, it probably was supper time, nobody could find Huckleberry. And that was very odd. And suddenly Sophia thought, oh my gosh, I think I left the gate open. So she slipped out very quietly and closed the gate. Anyway, supper time, very busy, everything's going on in the household, and later in the evening they still can't find Huckleberry, and it's like, well, where could he be? This is crazy. And he can't have gotten out of the yard because the gate's closed. And Sophia says nothing. Well, the next day, they still can't find Huckleberry, and now it's dawning on them that something really serious has happened. Anyway, long story short, Sophia finally confesses. They realize that Huckleberry has probably got out of the yard and something has happened, but they still don't know the end of the story. Well, it's very interesting because Huckleberry did get hit by a car and was killed. And the woman who saw it pulled over and was there supporting Huckleberry when he died, and she reported this, and they were able to identify that Huckleberry, in fact, was the dog that was killed. So here we have the three elements. Something catastrophic has happened. Sophia is key in the fact that it happened and feeling responsible. And the hiding, the saying nothing. And so as we look at those three ingredients and how they can profoundly then affect how we feel about ourselves, Paul Johnson said to me, Lynn, it's really like the loss of innocence. And that's a beautiful way to say it because I think it's very important that these show up at a particular age. Around 10, children have a very clear sense of right and wrong and morality, but they also have a sense of who they are. They've been building a sense of their identity. as we've talked in the past. And so there's enough awareness, there's enough consciousness, if you like, to be able to understand the part they've played, and in fact, how they've probably betrayed their own values, whether the hiding, the lying, the covering up, or whatever. They've really seen that they are not innocent in the way they might have thought, and that things don't just happen, and that there can be very serious consequences. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because I strongly want parents to feel supported in helping their children understand an event like this. I really think it's so important that children not lock in their sense of themselves as bad. In fact, when I work with adults and we do some of this work and look at what got locked in a person's nervous system, events like this can be pivotal, and they can conclude that they're bad, they're evil, very, very strong condemnation about themselves. So I'm sharing this so I hope that I can support other parents in understanding what's going on, and that we can help children understand that something like this can happen, and it does not make them a bad person. It does not speak to who they are at the core of their identity. All right, so some questions to leave for you for next week. So do we have more than one fall from grace? Do we have one, say, in teenage years or adulthood? Are there different kinds of falls from grace as as an adult? And of course, at the end, we're going to want to talk about what do we do. All right, so those are some questions for you to think about, whether you're a parent, whether you're just a partner, whether you're a grandparent like myself. I hope that this may have triggered some things for you to think about and open some conversations. So let us know if you have some thoughts about this, some comments, some questions, and have a great week.